Hey everyone, and welcome back to another roundup. So, E3 seems to be dying, Horizon Zero Dawn is coming to PC, which is pretty good news. Epic's boss, Tim Sweeney, has came out in favor of something that's pretty pro-consumer, and, well, Bethesda's Pete Hines sure has made a right fool of himself over his inability to take criticism with Fallout 76. All of that and more in today's roundup. Now, if you're new here, then hello, we're a narrative games studio. Hit up our mailing list and site down below. We also do 6 game industry news and analysis videos per week, so sub for more of that stuff, and seriously, those like buttons, things like that, really do help us with the algorithm, and it's really appreciated. Okay, with that, let's get into the news. Well, to start us off, E3 2020 appears to be cancelled. Multiple sources came out to Mike Futter saying that its cancellation will be announced tomorrow. Now, as a counterpoint to that, Jason Schreier has said that the ESA are apparently still talking to publishers, and they've not made their final decision, even though he has heard from multiple publishers that it's cancelled, and Devolver Digital tweeted to cancel your hotels and flights. Now, why? Well, I mean, obviously, there's a global situation that you really can't say in this platform, because if you do, you're instantly demonetized. Like, we did a WoW video, and 30k of its views were monetized, and from that 30k views, we made $12. Very cool. It's enough for a burger or two. Now, as for the reasoning past the international incident, well, many publishers have pulled out already, and as compared to a decade ago, E3 just isn't needed. I mean, far more things are streamed online anyway, and if you're a big publisher and you really want a live event, you can do your own, or you can do Game Awards, or you can do Gamescom opening night live. E3 is just not special anymore. And I think if it is cancelled, then its lack of impact will really seal the deal there, right? Like, those publishers are going to be forced to go digital if it is cancelled, and they're likely not going to see any negative hit from E3 not existing, and they'll probably then realize that, oh wait, E3 was a waste of time anyway. It also seems like the ESA's plans to revamp E3 didn't work out too well for them, because of course they lost Jeff Keighley, they also lost the company that they partnered with to run the show floor experience. So overall, it seems like a bit of a disaster, and really it's just stuff catching up with the times, where E3 was old and, well, it didn't really move with the times fast enough. The next up is some pretty good news. Horizon Zero Dawn has been confirmed to be hitting the PC this summer. And this, of course, does come after we found out that Stranding would also be hitting PC, with 505 Games acting as its publisher. So, yeah, that's 2 big Sony exclusives that are now hitting the PC. And I figure this is down to a few things. First, the new console sales benefit of those games being exclusives, that's probably already happened, right? Because they already, were sellers for that system years ago. Well, less years ago for Death Stranding, but you get the point. Most of their sales on the PS4, and most of them driving PS4 sales, say in the holiday period, that's already happened. Then the second thing is that the PS4's generation is almost over, so PS4 console sales will matter less. Both of these factors mitigate much of the reason why exclusives are funded by platform holders in the first place. So with that stuff mitigated, then it just comes down to getting more money by selling more games. So with that framing, these decisions make perfect sense. Both games have already sold most of their console copies, they are famous games, and they've sold 0 PC copies, so it absolutely does make sense. The question is though, will this last into the next generation? To be honest with you, I somewhat doubt it. I think that those first 2 incentives, especially the shifting of new hardware, that's going to be very important for the PS5. So in that context, I think it will make less sense for Sony to put their games on the PC platform. And I suspect we're just in a nice little period sort of in between where it's good for PC, because really on the PS4 they've got nothing to lose by just getting some more revenue from the PC platform. Then next, let's wade into some industry drama. So Geforce Now has been thoroughly thrashed by waves of publishers pulling out their support, and even some indie devs like with The Long Dark. Now remember here, Geforce Now is literally just you renting a virtual machine to play your games that you own on and just have the video stream back to you. It's not a Stadia-like platform, basically. So with all of that stuff, bad stuff happening, they've actually found an ally in Epic Games, with Tim Sweeney saying that Epic are wholeheartedly supporting Nvidia's service. Now, this support comes in the form of Fortnite and other Epic Games, Epic Games Store titles that choose to participate. They'll all be on Geforce Now. That includes exclusive titles, and Sweeney also stated that Epic will be actively expanding the list of participating games in the future for Geforce Now. And when he elaborated on his reasoning, I mean, it does make sense. Sweeney said that it's the most developer-friendly and publisher-friendly of the major streaming services. Why? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. He outlined that Nvidia impose zero tax on game revenue, and that anybody who wants the industry to move in a more healthy direction, he thinks should be supporting Geforce Now. Tim went on to talk about, say, Google and Apple's 30% tax. They called them payment monopolies, and said that he believes that cloud services could be instrumental in basically ending that stranglehold. And he highlighted something that, I mean, really has been a thing where, like, Apple have went to lengths to deny streaming services on their store. And because of that, Tim says that he foresees a point later this year where Apple might, say, block Stadia from being on iOS, and then maybe Google would prevent xCloud from being on Google Play. He said that this is a rotten structure that will begin to collapse in on itself when, I mean, yeah, you know, all those blocks happen if they happen. Now, this is all in the wake of another publisher pulling out. 2K Games left over the weekend. Nvidia said that they're dedicated to, like, working with 2K and trying to get them back in the service, but I mean, that's what they've said with every other publisher who's also, like, pulled out, and it's not like any of them have came back yet. Now, there is one good bit of news for Nvidia throughout all of this, and that is that Ubisoft are standing with Epic, according to Kotaku. In an email, they shared the Geforce Now support with complete access to their PC games from Uplay or any other supported platform will be a thing, and the quote is, "We believe it's a leading-edge service that gives current and new PC gamers a high-end experience with more choice in how and where they play their favorite games." Okay, but here's what I think there. Ubisoft make games that are quite pretty, and they're quite demanding, and a part of me thinks that, well, I mean, a lot of people tried to play, say, Assassin's Creed Origins or Odyssey on PC, and found quite a few issues because it was bloody hard to run them. While I think for a lot of people with lower-end systems who maybe want to play those big, expensive, and, you know, graphically expensive Ubisoft games, well, Geforce Now would make a lot of sense, and maybe that's why we're seeing Ubisoft themselves be so pro Geforce Now. But overall in this story, I just say that I think more support for this is absolutely good. I think Epic are a major player in the space, and it is good seeing them support it. I mean, look, Epic are right. Geforce Now is additive. It's, you know, they're not taking a cut on games. They are purely just expanding the customer's access to your games. I think Geforce Now is great, and when we're publishing our games, they will be on Geforce Now, absolutely, because it just makes sense to me. I don't see where the downside is with Geforce Now, unless, of course, you want to sell out to Stadia or some platform like that. And I suppose you could also say that if you're a game and you're already an Epic Game Store exclusive, then you've already got your, you know, we did a big deal with a platform chunk of money, and therefore, if that's the case, yeah, throw it in Geforce Now. It's not going to matter to you because you're already safe. So that's a bit of a counterpoint, but yeah, overall, Geforce Now, pretty good service, pretty pro-consumer, overall additive, and it is sad to see the industry just kind of go after it, because I guess they'd rather just get a slice of the pie for themselves. But anyway, let's move on. And then next up today, we've got Call of Duty Warzone, which is, of course, their free-to-play battle royale. And being real with you, there's not much to say about this. It's a free-to-play Call of Duty battle royale. Blackout did pretty well, even though it was tied to another game, so I expect this will do pretty well. It ties into the unified progression system of the main Call of Duty. Pretty sure the monetization is mostly going to be like bundles and things. They did have a commitment to no loot boxes for Modern Warfare, so if they were present here, that would obviously be a pretty bad situation for them. But, I mean, overall, what else is there to say? It is what it is. It's probably going to be very good. Millions of people are probably going to play it. It'll probably generate a lot of long-tail revenue for Activision Blizzard. And for me, personally, the main question, the main point of interest is, how does the long-tail revenue of this compare to Call of Duty Mobile? They are both free-to-play Call of Duty experiences, just that Call of Duty Mobile has already got, like, what, 100 million accounts as of last December? So I'd be interested to see how the two of them compete. But anyway, there you go. That's it. It's probably going to do pretty well. Then next up, we've got a report from an analytics group called Stream Hatchet. That is bad news for Twitch and Mixer, but good news for YouTube and Facebook. And really, it's a bit of a funny story, which is why I wanted to bring it up. So in 2019, monthly hours watched on Twitch fell reportedly by 10%. YouTube and Facebook gaming, on the other hand, grew by 24% and 83% respectively. Who the hell is actually organically watching Facebook gaming? I've got no idea. It certainly isn't me. But I think, like YouTube, its growth is probably mostly organic, but also bolstered by the exclusivity deals. What has been interesting, though, is Mixer's performance, which has been terrible. It's got exclusives, but nobody cares, just as this report suggests. Twitch is, of course, still like the top dog for streaming, but it's not unassailable. unless you're Mixer. I mean, like Mixer had the worst 2019 of all of the services, according to Stream Hatchet, dropping 1 million monthly hours watched. And I mean, let's be real, no one cares. Microsoft have pumped money into that. But I think all that happened is, like, say Ninja, I think he was on the way out a little bit whenever they got him onto Mixer. And I mean, I've barely heard about Ninja in ages, and I think he was the main thing there. I know there was other big exclusives for Mixer, but I think it does show here to me that it needs to be natural. People need to be there. So what I'd say for those other platforms is they need algorithmic discovery. So one of Twitch's greatest weaknesses for making new streamers is that, yes, it's a big platform, but it's bloody hard to be discovered there because the algorithmic discoverability is barely there. Whereas in YouTube, you can make some pretty good content, and if you market it well, you can have the algorithm just spread you out to loads of people. They probably, if I was doing a streaming service, I would try to focus on new discoverability as well as trying to get users in. And it seems like none of the other services have really done that well. So yeah, that's what's up with streaming. Let's move on to Pete Hines making a bit of a tit out of himself. So yes, Pete Hines, Bethesda's SVP of Global Marketing and Communications, turns out to be pretty damn bad at communications because he made a right arse out of himself when he hung out with the kind of funny games people. So, Hines was less than impressed with the amount of criticism that was leveled at Fallout 76 since that game's launch, especially from YouTubers. Oh, terrible capital Y YouTubers. He stated that Fallout 76 was simply just an easy punchline, and then many commentators just said whatever it took to get some clicks on it. Now, beyond pursuing the game's official subreddit for comments from hardcore Fallout 76 players, Hines appears to be generally sort of discounting criticism as trolling for clicks. It does make sense if you look at the state of that game. The interview was also characterized by some very strange comparisons from Hines. I don't really know what he's on. He said that he was hurt at the backlash Bethesda received for the new direction taken in Fallout 76, stating that Guerrilla Games didn't have to weather the same backlash with Horizon Zero Dawn. I guess presumably because it wasn't Killzone. Which is an insane thing. That is so apples to oranges, it's basically not relevant. He also compares Fallout 76's broken cosmetics-only microtransaction promise to them having to, say, cancel a restaurant trip because of a sudden illness, remarking that he didn't enjoy being called a liar. The whole thing is a bit remarkable. Pete clearly needs to pull his head out of his ass. Sorry, Pete. I mean, he was just spouting crazy talk. It was a very poor performance, being more serious here. Ultimately, people who reach positions like his, they should be strong analytical thinkers, so that he can't work this one out for himself is rather remarkable. Pete, if you say one thing and then you do something else, you're a liar. And that's doubly so if that one thing that you said was a part of a promise that you actually made during the marketing period of your game. If you don't like being called a liar, don't tell things that turn out to be false. It's quite simple. Fallout 76 just didn't work that well. It performed terribly. It had loads of bugs. Just about all of Bethesda's surrounding support for the game was pretty terrible as well. It's in a better state now, yes, but that does not change how it was. If you make a game that is more fun to laugh about than to play, don't be surprised when it gets a lot of coverage. Now that said, I am going to throw Pete a bone here. There was a lot of fluff content that was basically pointless for Fallout 76. There was stuff that was 10 to 15 minutes long, where really the story only needed 3 or 4 minutes to be covered, and I think that stuff was pretty transparently people being in a bit of a gold rush with the coverage. And I mean, sure, make hay when the sun's shining, I guess. Look, if you're making games like Pete Hines is and you don't understand the media economy, you're just being foolish and out of touch. I think Pete here displayed a lot of that in this interview, and I think he would do well to self-reflect and to work out why he is being ridiculed for it, because he truly did just seem like he was coming from another planet and didn't really understand what had happened. So, there you go. That is the gaming news. Apologies for things being a little bit slower. I had, I don't know if I'll talk about it properly, but yeah, I had some super fun in the old IRL sort of health business. I should be fine though, so it's fine. But yeah, that just sort of knocked me out for a few days. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. Sub if you want more of this stuff. Hit that like button to help us out with the algorithm. And with that, I will see you next time.